Hi guys, welcome back. I just thought I'd do a little video today on my GoPro setup. So I have a chin mount which I have secured with glue. It's like a paste glue, moldable, and you basically build that up and set it, and that I've used that on 2 helmets now and it's been great. This is the GoPro setup using that mount at the bottom there, and that's how that screws onto there. You sometimes have to get slightly longer screws. I had a kit with all kinds of bits and bobs in. It's worth getting the kit off Amazon for that, and that basically just slips into there like that. And then we've got the mic, plugs into there, and that's it. I do wire the USB into the back of the GoPro, and I have a power bank, a motorbike pocket. So power goes into there, mic goes into there, and that's how I power the GoPro. The microphone is connected to this, and it's basically a computer. It's a computer mic, and it bends round and it fits just into, it's sort of looped inside there. So as you can see, I've got what they call a dead cat on there. I don't know if you can see that. There's a grey dead cat in there. So that sort of goes in. It's like on a metal bending. It bends back round and sits just under the cheek guard. So it's completely covered up, even though I still get a bit of a slight wind noise. And then that's the adapter for the GoPro, because it's got to be, you have to have a certain adapter. The TRC, I'll put it on screen what there is. So this is the GoPro Hero 8, and I often use, I've got a couple of different settings that I use. The main one, if we're driving and basically I know we're going somewhere like a bike meet and we want to capture a lot of detail, a lot of bikes, I'll have it on 4K, 60 frames per second. I have the lens on linear so it's not as wide. Hyper Smooth is turned on. Pro Tune, I have bitrate high so that it's really nice quality video. Shutter stays auto. I have the compensation at 0.5. Just takes it so it's not quite as bright. And that's your exposure compensation. White balance auto. ISO, I have it on a minimum of 100. And I like to max the ISO at 800. So it's never too grainy. Sharpness low, no point having that on. I have it on flat color because I like to edit my videos in Final Cut Pro. Raw audio is off because I often, the helmet mic's fine, to be honest, you don't really need that on. Wind off, and mic's on stereo. And they're just the shortcuts at the bottom. So that's what one of my main presets. Sometimes I'll have this on, I'll have it on 4K 60 or 30 or 4K 24, and what that does, it brings in a lot more motion, so the trees and the side of the road will be moving quite nicely, and it does make you get a more real feel of the speed. It can sometimes look a bit faster actually, so that's quite nice. And if we're and on that, also on that, the Pro Tune, the bitrate will be high. Now what I do on long trips to save memory space, and this is where I'm just using it as a dash cam, I'll still have it on 4K, but I'll turn the bitrate to standard. And what that does, I'll tell you these screens, what that does is it's now changed from 5 hours recording to 8 hours. So you're getting more out of your memory card if you change the bitrate. Now, sometimes if I'm just using it as a dash cam, I might even it on 4K 30, but I like 4K 60 because you're getting a lot of information, and if there's something happens and you want to use the footage or check it out, with 60 frames per second, if something's moving quite fast, it's getting 60 frames every second, so there's a good chance it'll record a number plate or some information about vehicles or pedestrians or whatever. So that's why I like to use that. So I will change the bit rate for a long ride And if I was really struggling, I could turn it down to 1080. But 4K on these runs fine. I have a 256GB card in this all the time. So that's why I get quite high readings. That's 8 hours at the minute on that. So if we go into this, keep it on that, bit rate back up to high, which means lots of information being recorded. And now it's 5 hours. So you're gaining about 3 hours by changing the bit rate to standard. 5 hours is still not bad on these. Now, the battery, the reason I plug in a power bank is because the batteries last about 40 minutes, 50 minutes. If it's cold, maybe it's even less. So I just plug I've got a 20,000 mAh power bank, and it'll power this for days. It's fantastic. And it just sits in my back pocket. I have a cable coming up and it plugs in the back. It's a bit of a faff, I guess, but it's still good to have it. And they're the main settings I use. I've got a few on here that I've called all kinds of things. But to be honest, I like it on what I've got on Epic. It's a similar thing. Hypersmooth high, 4K 30, lens linear, bitrate high. Evaluation exposure compensations at 1.5 on that, minus 1.5. I think that's from when we were in Scotland. It was really bright one day. The rest of the days it weren't. So you can mess about with this as much as you want. So you've got your snail there, which is for your 2x slow-mo. Never use that because I set the camera if I wanted to do that. There's never really any reason to have it on slow-mo. Anyway, the hyper-smooth on this is good fun if you wanted to use it. It's fine. It's time-lapse. That's quite good fun. You've got time warp. So basically, if you were to walk around somewhere, it's taking photos every... Well, you can program it in. This is let's look at settings for this. So this will take photos 2 times. So every sort of fraction of a second, it's taking a photo. So you basically, if you walk around, this is if Danny's watching and he gets a GoPro 8. If you were to walk around the marina, basically, if it took you 10 minutes, this will play it back in 5, and you can change that speed. If it's going to let me. You can change the speed. You can go up to 5 times, so you're really flying around somewhere 10 times. So it starts off at auto. You've got 5 times, 10 times, 15, and then 30 at the top. That'll be absolutely flying around somewhere. And it does look quite good. It starts to play it back like a video. I tend to keep it on 2. I don't use that very often. And you can have that 2K, 4K. And it's quite a cool little thing. And you've got a photo setting. Rarely use it for photos though, because I think phones are quite good. But GoPros do take an alright picture. So they're the bike settings. I hope that's been useful. If you have any questions, pop a comment in the comments.